All right, chapter 1.6, we're going to add whole numbers, and the good news is this is going to look familiar. You've done this kind of thing before. We're just going to kind of take you through it. All right, so we've got 570,374, and we're going to add to that 86,051. All right, and we're going to make sure we include the addition symbol and this line to separate our work. It's important. And then we start by adding the ones. 4 ones and 1 1. 4 and 1 is 5. Okay, that works really good. Then we're going to add the tens. This one's a little harder because 7 and 5 is more than 10. Or, 7 tens and 5 tens is more than 100. It's more than 90. So 7 plus 5 is 12. So that's really 12 hundreds or 12 tens, which ends up meaning that we have to regroup. That's what they call it. So we just keep the 2. You guys know how to do this, but you don't always understand what you're doing. I don't like it when my page gets small like that. Okay, 7 plus 5 is 12. We're going to carry this 1 over here, and this 1 really stands for 100. See how it's in the hundreds place? Ones, tens, hundreds. So this was 120. That's what 12 tens is, really 120. And now we're going to add in the hundreds place. 300 plus 100 is 400. Then we can move right on over here and add the thousands place, 0 and 6. And now we're going to add the 10,000s place, and again we're going to have this regrouping issue. 7 plus 8 is 15. So that means 70,000 plus 80,000 is 150,000. And we're just really going to think about that 15. We're going to carry the 1 up there and put our 5 here. Okay, but this 1 really stands for 100,000, and this 5 really stands for 10,000. And then our last bit is to add the 100,000s. There's nothing down here. There are no 100,000s in this first number because it's just 86,000. But we don't need to worry about that. We can just bring the 5 down, or bring the 5 and the 1 down, really. So we end up with 656,425. All right, good. Now the next thing they want you to do is learn how to estimate. And so we would take our first number and we would round it to just this first place. So this is rounding it to the 100,000s place. So we start with, let me go back to purple real quick. Maybe, I guess that's more blue. We start with this number, and we're going to round it to the 100,000s place. So I underline that, which means I look over here at the 7. I'm always going to look at the next number over and say, oh, that's large, that's bigger, that's 5 or bigger. So we're going to round up to 600,000. See, the 5 is either going to stay a 5 or become a 6, and everything else is going to become zeros. But it all depends on this second number, the 7, whether this 5 becomes a 6 or stays a 5. Then we round the next number, 86,051, and we're going to do it exactly the same way. And again, we're going to come to the first place, which in this case is the 10,000s, and we're going to look over here at the next number. So this 8 is either going to stay an 8 or become a 9, based on what this 6 does. Since the 6 is big, it's large, and we're going to go ahead and change that to a 9. So it ends up becoming 90,000, and then we can just add that. 69,000. 69,000 is our answer. Oh, 690,000. Boy, I put that comma in the wrong place. Thanks for catching that mistake. 690,000, and this is 656,425. So they're close to each other. This is an estimate for what this what this actual answer is. And a lot of times we want to estimate before we get started. So we'll do one more, the one that's in the book, real quick. 2,000, this is a little easier, 717. And we need to round it. So we're going to start with the first place, which is the thousands place, and look over here. The 7 is large. So this rounds up to 3 instead of staying 2, and the rest of the numbers become zeros, so it becomes 3,000. The second one is 222. So, and if we were going to add these two numbers, we're going to still look at this 222, and this is 2, and this next number is small. So instead of rounding up to 3, it's just going to stay at 2, and the rest of the numbers, the other two numbers, become zeros. Now, one of the things that's super important is that you remember to keep things lined up. The ones go in the ones place, the tens go in the tens place, the hundreds go in the hundreds place, and that's still true over here. You're going to keep it lined up, and then when we add, we have 3,200. Of course, if we were to go through and actually do the adding, we just stay over here, and 7 plus 2 is 9. 1 plus 2 is 3. 7 plus 2 is 9. And then bring our 2 down, because there's nothing under here. Is 2 plus 0, or just bring it down. 2,939, and this was 3,200. And so it's reasonable because it's close to the same as this. If we got something different, if we got an answer here that had an extra 0 or some other, or if this was a 7 over here instead of a 2, it wouldn't make a lot of sense, but it's pretty close. 2,939 is almost 3,000, and this is close to 3,000. It's just a little bit more, and so it works really well. That's how this goes. They want you to estimate, then they want you to solve. It happens a lot, and these are pretty big addition problems. We have one that looks like this. 186,231 plus 88,941. And the first thing they want you to do is estimate. So this one, it becomes a 200,000 because this 1 turns into a 2 based on the size of this number. And this one becomes 90,000. This time we rounded both of them up. We rounded the top one up, we rounded the second one up, and so this answer is definitely going to be larger than our actual answer. So we have 290,000. So our answer should be smaller than 290,000. But let's go ahead and do it and see. 1 plus 1, 3 plus 4, 2 plus 9. Here's one where we have to regroup because it goes to 11, so we have to carry our 1 over here. That works. And then this one's going to do that again. 6 plus 1 is 7, and 7 plus 8 is 15. So we're going to carry again. And 8 plus 8 is 16, plus 1 is 17. And then this just becomes a 2. 275,000. That's close to 290, and it is less than 290. We knew that would happen. That's how you could do it. There's one final thing, and I'll try to go really fast. Commutative property of addition. These are properties. Let's see, properties, if hopefully I'm spelling it right. The first one is the commutative property, and this just says that 4 plus 5 is equal to 5 plus 4. And this is helpful sometimes if I'm adding some numbers together. Say I'm adding 3 plus 4 plus 7. And I really like to add to 10, and I know that 3 and 7 add to 10, so I change these around. 3 plus 7 plus 4. That makes sense, right? I'm just changing them around, but the answer is still going to be the same. 3 plus 7 is 10, and then I'm just adding 4 to that. 10 plus 4 is 14. Okay, hopefully that makes sense, because our 3 plus 7, see if I can join these together with parentheses, that says you have to do that first, and I get 10. Now the parentheses, using the parentheses, has something to do with the associative property. And we're going to talk about that in a second. But the commutative property is just changing places with the numbers. If I add 4 plus 7, I get 11. If I add 7 plus 4, I get 11. But since I can move them around, any of these, I can change the orders because of the commutative property. 4 plus 5 is 9, and 5 plus 4 is 9. It doesn't change it. So if I were to add this one up, 3 plus 4, like this, then I get 7, and 7 plus 7, this 7 here, is still 14. So I got the same answer. And that's the commutative property, is changing the order of the numbers. As long as you're adding them, as long as you're using an addition sign, you can change the order all you want. You should still always add left to right, although with addition it doesn't matter. But that's just what we try to do, is we do a problem, we try to go left to right if we can. And then let's look at the other property, the associative. Ooh, I did it again. Now I'm turning it. Ooh, that's crazy. Can I get it back right where it was? I can't seem to. I guess that's close enough. Okay, the associative property has to do with changing parentheses. So we have 4 plus 7 plus 3 is equal to 4 plus 7 plus 3. Here the numbers are not changing places. I still have a 4, then a 7, then a 3. And over here I have a 4 plus a 7 plus a 3. But my parentheses are changing. Here I'm supposed to add 4 plus 7 plus 3, which would be 4 plus 10. Because I usually want to do what's in the parentheses first. Then I add 4 plus 10, which is 14. Over here, the parentheses come in here, so instead of adding 7 plus 3 to get 10, I'm going to add 4 plus 7 to get 11. And I'm still going to add 3 to that, and 11 plus 3 is still 14. So see, these numbers look different, 4 and 10, 11 and 3, but I still get the same answer. And it's just showing that I can regroup my problems using what's called the associative property. And it's kind of like who you associate with, your best friend, and you put your best friends, the two of you, together in the parenthesis, or next week you have a new best friend, and so you put yourself with him instead of her, and whatever. But it's just another way to help you remember what the associative property is. And you have several problems on the associative property, which is why I told you how to do it. Got to identify the commutative property and the associative property. So use this video to look it up when you need to get there for those problems, number 11, 12, and 13. Have a great day.